John saw it hit. I felt something and he said that it's too deep. That's probably a fish. Sure enough, a couple strips later, it came back and just ate it. It was a nice little striper. Henry David Thoreau said, "Many men go fishing all of their lives without knowing that it is not the fish they are after." Look at the size of that thing! I'm Denis Isbister. For me, fishing has been a part of my whole life. From the time I could walk, I've been chasing fish and whatever adventures seemed to follow it.
I'm Drew Murin, and since I was a little kid, my dad and I have fished all over the western United States together. And all I've wanted to do ever since was travel the world, have a little fun, and fish with my good friend Dennis.
You see that, baby? So follow along with us as we travel the remote regions of the globe
In search of wild fish,
and wild places. We're heading over to the Sacramento Delta to meet up with my good buddy, John Sherman. Now, John, he's a rep in our industry. That's kind of how I got to know him. And one of his big companies he works with is Simms Fishing. You're gonna see a lot of Simms product in this show. I have grown up hearing about how great this striper fishery is down on the Delta. Big marshy area, brackish water, and giant stripers. So John Sherman is so crazy and good at striper fishing. He's got a house on the Delta with a dock and a boat. This is the first time I fished with John. I wasn't sure what to expect. I know he's awesome, I know he's crazy about it, but when I first laid eyes on his striper setup, oh man. As the sun starts to come up over the Delta, it is everything I had in my mind's eye what this place is supposed to look like. I basically have no knowledge of this fishery. Just gonna throw it out there. I've heard a lot. I'm putting all my faith into John and what he knows, and it's kind of fun because I can kind of relax a little bit actually, because I'm usually in the driver's seat, helping people catch fish, laying it out. Well, we show up here and John's got it dialed. So I kind of relax a little bit and just enjoy the sunrise.
All right, Dennis, so we're gonna fish a little topwater this morning. We're at the bottom of the outgoing tide, but we still should have a little bit of current. So we're gonna work our way west and start chasing the incoming tide, but we still got low light, a little bit of cloud cover, and let's see if we get a good one on top.
Right off the bat, like any good fisherman, John has a strategy. He gives me the topwater. He says, "You're gonna stick the topwater this morning while the light's right, and I'm gonna throw a topwater fly." Yeah, baby. Right off the bat, just like John suggested, we got some topwater blowups. Nobody panic. A little largemouth? No, that's a striper.
Holy cow.
There you go. That's what we're after, kid.
That's it.
Our first Delta striper.
I'm venturing to guess that's gonna be your smallest.
You know what? My heart was still pumping though. I'm not gonna lie. So for me, topwater fishing is the ultimate. I love catching fish on top, no matter what it is. So I'm super excited. And this first fish I get to the boat, Monster. Delta striped bass. My buddy John Sherman from Sims. We've been talking wipers. I sent him the wiper episode. Just kind of been talking about striper fishing. And he's a legend in these parts. I mean, he knows his game down here big time. He said, why don't you come film? So about an hour later, we showed up at his door.
Up.
Schoolies?
Awesome. You've got shallow water with deep water nearby it, and with an outgoing tide kind of serving as an ambush point off of both of these points here. It's kind of the prime makings of what we're after. The sun's not even showing yet, so prime top water scenario. Let's see if we can get one.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we're upgrading.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Double. John has his spots, so we hit the next spot and right away we get a double. Flying.
All right, working them up.
Schoolies?
Awesome.
Good?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Be on your A game, because this is where it's going to happen. Sure enough, he had a blow up. I caught one. He caught one right after. A couple little schoolies together. Working our way up. These striped bass are anagamous fish, which means they live in the salt and they go into the fresh and back. So what that also means is something that I don't pay attention to much is tide. Because these fish bite on the tide, that means John knows exactly when and where that tide is going to be moving the best and where we have the best opportunity to get these fish, which means early morning, after we hit a couple spots, we're going to head west. Started out this morning kind of working our way out north and west, just kind of keep working our way deeper into the delta, hitting a bunch of John's little spots we got, and got kind of a weird wind blowing today, kind of unexpected actually. So some of the spots that he's been catching are really choppy. Not sure if that was the deal or not, but he had one grab on the fly, nothing on top water. We're just kind of working our way up into these all these tule banks and little backwater spots that he knows about. Just trying to get one big fish to grab here. As we start hitting these spots out west, we can tell right away that it's kind of off. John and I both can kind of feel it's kind of cloudy, it's kind of windy, it's cold, and the fish aren't moving at all, like nothing. We're getting nothing. So like any good fisherman, he knows what to do. We're just gonna keep bouncing around.
We were way out west. Fishing was pretty tough, kind of changing it up. We're still west, but not nearly as far out as we were before. Got a good push of the incoming tides, pushing up against this tule edge here. We'll work quickly through here, fishing fairly shallow. We're gonna hit like 3 spots, see if our bite improves at all. If not, we're gonna head further south.
You could be friends with people, you know, business, work, all that stuff, but there is just nothing that builds a friendship quite like catching fish together. I know he's not the biggest striper in the river, but I really earned that one. Most of the time, I'm in the driver's seat and I am hyper focused on success. Big fish, lots of fish, whatever it might be. And sometimes I don't get to take in the whole experience. Well, now it's reversed. I don't really care. I'm having a blast, and John is hyper focused on catching these fish, and he's worried about it. You know, you could tell. He's just like, I don't know what's going on. We're not catching huge fish. And the whole time I'm going, this is awesome. You know, we're catching fish, we're having fun. It's a beautiful day on the water. It's supposed to be 80 degrees today. It's really what it's all about. Well, getting a little bit of a weather warm up and feeling good, but we moved back, kind of came back south a little and east, little direction change. You know, we went one direction, it wasn't happening. So John said, you know what, we had some action this morning. We at least know there's fish down there. You know, let's go throw some casts in a few different spots. So we got the fly rods out and we're just plugging away, looking for a few biters. Gonna have to go back to the fly. That's what we're looking for.
No, not the size we're looking for, but it's nice to see some live though. Yeah. Actually, that time we saw fish blow up on the surface. Dennis got a good cast out there, and I just kind of threw to the right of that and was stripping it back, and boom, it must have been that pod that was busting right there.
Just stopping, hitting spots that he knows are good. And it's been super slow, been tough day so far to try to find these fish. It's like we see some that are eating, that are hitting the top or whatever, and throw in there, and John catches them, and nothing else. So John's plan is to actually go back and hit a different tide to where we were catching fish earlier in the day. So that's what we do. We head back and we end up at a big bridge. And there's some current coming through and it all looks right, starting to warm up a little bit. And what do you know? Start sticking fish.
Come over the top?
Yep. Oh, look at him.
That's better. There we go.
About 2 pounds.
Yep.
I got him. Boom! I know he's not the biggest striper in the river, but I really earned that one. We get in here and it's super deep, lots of current. John saw it hit. I felt something and he said that it's too deep. That's probably a fish. Sure enough, a couple strips later, it came back and just ate it. It was a nice little striper.
Gonna work off at either side here. They can be on either side.
Okay.
It's pretty deep. We're in 16, so let it sink a good 10, 12 count.
Okay.
This is a spot we catch a lot of largemouth in, and occasional striper as well. So I think, Dennis, why don't you throw the rib bait, and then I'm gonna throw the type 3 line and a little smaller clouser. Type 3 sinks at a roughly 3 to 4 inches per second. So really good for depths between like 10 and 20 feet, whereas this line really excels in like 5 to 10. It's kind of where its sweet spot is.
That's cool. All right, that's my biggest bass of the day. Yeah, little largemouth. Right on. Man, dude, I don't think this is the one that first swirled on it. Well, this had a big swirl, boom, right behind it. Kept working. John goes, "That's a good one." Kept it going, and then this one ate it. But he's still a nice fish. Once again, John's expertise comes into play. He takes us right to the spot, and it's an old flooded orchard. And we slip in there, and it's super shallow, and you can see all the old trees in there. And right away, we see about a 12-pound striper cruising. Look at it, look at it. Look at it.
It's a big one. It's a big one. Keeps going nice and smooth. Nice and smooth.
So we go right to it. I'm thinking topwater again, gonna be able to work it right over top of those submerged trees, and he goes right to his fly. Oh, come on, come on. Oh. Took it down. How did you not get hooked? John says the light probably isn't gonna be right. It's not low enough. And sure enough, that's what happened. You know what? We had some action, had a couple other blow-ups in there, but it just wasn't quite right timing yet. The light's getting right, and we head back to a spot we've thrown lures into twice already today, and I've had action both times. So we're joking around, calling it Isbister Point. It's a nice little setup of reeds. The current's pushing across it. There's a little point with a shallow shoal. Losing light, John said, as soon as we get the right light, the topwater bite will be back on. Sure enough, I'm just fighting like a good fish, actually, and ate it. Yeah. There it is. Nice. Little topwater striper. First cast, I bomb a topwater in there, and they blow up on it. That was awesome. topwater Delta stripe. That was cool. As you can see, the light's starting to set, the light's getting right, and it is just happening. It's a beautiful evening on the Delta. The fish are fired up. We're having a great time, and we're gonna push this thing all the way to dark. Man. Dude, I don't think this is the one that first swirled on it. I don't think so either. Well, just had a big swirl, boom, right behind it. Kept working. John goes, that's a good one. Kept it going, and then this one ate it, which is still a nice fish, I think. What's that? Mosquitoes are out. Yeah, I got bit a couple times. Look at that. Oh yeah. One of the things that is making us successful today is John's expertise in not only every fishing spot and corner of this Delta, but also the line. He knows what line, what streamer, what weight is going to be used in each different spot. He knows the depth, and he knows a specific stripping technique that we use that separates a 30 fish day from a 3 fish day. What an amazing experience getting to go to the Delta, and my first trip to the Delta being with John, a guy who has infinite wisdom on this body of water. He knows all the spots, he knows the lines, the streamers, what color, what weight, what top water. He knows it all, and I can't thank him enough for inviting me out. We had a great time, and we crushed a bunch of stripers.